Did Captain America seduce Star-Lord's great aunt? Some fan theories are completely off the mark, but a select few have been surprisingly accurate. During the climactic battle in 2013's Man of Steel, the conflict between Superman and General Zod destroys much of Metropolis and claims thousands of lives. According to director Zack Snyder, the final death toll of the event is somewhere around 5,000, and a number of casualties that high would be sure to weigh heavily on Superman's conscience. Even a Kryptonian like him carries plenty of demons. In the first act of Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, after the Man of Steel saves a girl from a burning factory, he is surrounded and touched by people dressed like skeletons in celebration of the Day of the Dead. It's a powerful scene, and it also has a deeper meaning. As one clever fan commented on social media, the Day of the Dead partakers put their hands on him, almost as if he's a god they could finally meet. Plus the symbolism of Clark being dragged down by the people who died during him and Zod's fight, symbolized by people dressed in skeletons, honoring the dead. Snyder himself took the time to comment a confirmation as a reply to the original post. According to him, the people in skeleton makeup are indeed meant to represent the human cost of superpowered battles. As the director told comicbook.com, "It's not just fun to crash around in a city, there's a human price, and I think that's the thing that weighs on Superman."
No one stays good in this world.
When Wonder Woman hit theaters, moviegoers everywhere were excited to see the first superhero film from DC or Marvel to feature a woman in the title role. Some people left the theater with a few clever fan theories, and perhaps the biggest one involved the supporting character, Chief. Chief doesn't get a particularly large amount of screen time in Wonder Woman, but one specific scene led to a popular theory that he may be more than human. When Diana first meets Chief, he introduces himself in Blackfoot. It doesn't receive English subtitles, so it's easy to miss that Chief apparently introduces himself with the name Napi. In Native American mythology, Napi is a god of creation. So does that mean that Chief is, in fact, a demigod? Well, according to Chief's actor, Eugene Braverock, the character is exactly that. When presented with the theory and asked exactly who Chief is, the actor replied, "Blackfoot culture hero and demigod." And just like that, it was a theory no longer. It might sound ridiculous to hear that the story of a cyborg police officer is an allegory for the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, but RoboCop is exactly that. When director Paul Verhoeven's ultra-violent classic first hit theaters in 1987, some viewers noticed that Alex Murphy's journey from victim of violence to resurrected savior has a few parallels with the New Testament. On the other hand, some people shrugged it off as coincidence, writing RoboCop off as just another sci-fi actioner. After decades of debate, Verhoeven decided to provide a definitive answer once and for all. In 2010, he told MTV, "The point of RoboCop, of course, is it is a Christ story. It is about a guy that gets crucified after 50 minutes, then is resurrected in the next 50 minutes, and then is like the super cop of the world, but is also a Jesus figure as he walks over water at the end. Since Jesus is meant to be the ultimate peacemaker, it's not exactly a surprise that this super cop might want to emulate the Son of God."
Excuse me. I have to go. Somewhere there is a crime happening.
Fan theories aren't reserved solely for superhero movies and sci-fi blockbusters. Fans of more casual viewing have plenty of dots to connect when they're rewatching their favorite sitcoms, and few have a more dedicated following than Gilmore Girls. Every scene of the beloved 2000s WB and CW show has been analyzed by hardcore fans, and one particularly observant viewer apparently spotted a peculiar appearance in the 9th episode of the show. Apparently, lead character Rory and Luke's diner chef, Caesar, were classmates years before the latter character was officially introduced. The actor behind Caesar himself, Aris Alvarado, blew Gilmore Girls fans' minds wide open when he confirmed that their suspicions were correct. In the episode Rory's Dance, there's someone who looks an awful lot like Caesar chilling at a table with the rest of Rory's classmates. As Alvarado declared to the crowd at a 2016 Gilmore Girls fan festival, that was Caesar. It's funny because the internet just discovered that. I've been waiting. I never wanted to say anything so I could see who was going to find me one day. Needless to say, Alvarado can consider himself found. Ever since Pulp Fiction, Quentin Tarantino's films have always been linked. From Red Apple cigarettes to Big Kahuna Burger, several fictional brands have appeared across multiple movies of his. Couple that with the fact that Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction and Vic Vega from Reservoir Dogs are brothers, you've got a compelling argument for a cinematic universe. It wasn't until 2016 that Tarantino confirmed the theory linking all his films together. But there's a twist. As the director revealed, there are actually two separate universes. There is the realer-than-real universe, alright, and all the characters inhabit that one. But then there's this movie universe. Tarantino went on to explain that his more fantastical projects, such as Kill Bill, Death Proof, and From Dusk Till Dawn, exist as movies within his normal cinematic universe. This makes a lot of sense considering the Fox Force 5 pilot mentioned by Uma Thurman's Mia Wallace in Pulp Fiction.
Fox as in we're a bunch of foxy chicks. Force as in we're a force to be reckoned with. And 5 as in there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us.
What Mia is referencing would go on to become the Kill Bill story, which citizens of the real verse would presumably be able to see in theaters themselves. The case isn't totally cracked, though. Tarantino has yet to provide a complete list of which films exist in which universe, so there's plenty more theorizing left to do. One particularly charming fan theory that blossomed after the release of Toy Story 3 was that the garbage man that the toys hide from during the first act is actually Sid Phillips, the creepy child who terrorized our plastic heroes in the first movie. In Toy Story, Sid learns of the existence of sentient toys after they turn on him for abusing them. The theory suggested that Sid managed to move on and become a better adjusted person after starting a career in sanitation. Of course, he's still a rebellious kid at heart. After all, he's still wearing that same Skull logo t-shirt. Director Lee Unkrich confirmed that the garbage man was Sid on the official Toy Story 3 DVD commentary. Andy acknowledged that this may not make a whole lot of sense given that Andy's family moved at the end of the first Toy Story, but he explained it away by stating that they probably didn't move very far. Sid's cameo wasn't an afterthought. In fact, he's voiced by the very same actor who played him in 1995. Unkrich added, "We actually called Eric Von Detten, who was a young boy when we made Toy Story, and asked him if he'd be interested in coming back and doing a little cameo in Toy Story 3. Obviously, Von Detten was happy to return to the role that kickstarted his career, and the rest is Pixar history." In Ridley Scott's sci-fi beloved film Blade Runner, it's Rick Deckard's job to retire synthetic humans known as replicants, but the former cop may just be one himself. For decades, fans have theorized that the origami unicorn seen at the end of the film is proof that Deckard has been a replicant the entire time. When Blade Runner 2049 was announced, fans were excited to finally learn the truth, but the sequel refuses to answer the question. Instead, it focuses on a replicant named K as he deals with his own artificial status. However, Ridley Scott had other ideas. He confirmed right out that Deckard is not a real boy during an interview for the 2000 documentary On the Edge of Blade Runner. The paper unicorn, when paired with Deckard's vision of the mystical creature, is supposed to imply that the Blade Runner's dreams have been spied on by Officer Gaff.
You know that Voight-Comp test of yours? Did you ever take that test yourself?
Despite Scott's rather concrete declaration, it's still become disputed by many, including Rick Deckard himself, Harrison Ford. But after years of disputing his character's true origins, Ford gave in to Deckard's fate. In a 2023 interview with Esquire, Ford finally admitted that Scott was right all along, saying, "I always knew that I was a replicant. I just wanted to push back against it, though. I think a replicant would want to believe that they're human." When Man of Steel first premiered in 2013, excited fans took to the internet to make a bold claim. Some people said that when Clark is thrown into the ocean following the oil rig explosion, he ends up being saved by Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. At the time, there was no basis for this. Justice League hadn't even been announced, and although fans hoped for a live-action DCEU, it had yet to be realized. Nevertheless, the theory gained a solid bit of traction before dying down. Once Jason Momoa was cast as Aquaman, and director Zack Snyder dropped an official image of the DCEU's King of Atlantis, the theory picked up steam again. It wasn't until 2017 when Momoa, promoting Justice League on DC All Access, confirmed the wild fan theory to be true. He revealed, "In Man of Steel, when Superman is on the oil rig, he's holding that up, and then all of a sudden you see him up on the ocean, kind of floats up on the ocean. Zack Snyder told me I had Aquaman save him, so that they get to cross paths at one point, so when Bruce goes, 'You ever heard of Superman?' I have." This wouldn't end up being the only time that Aquaman ends up saving Superman, as the League would go on to resurrect him in their 2017 team-up film. Ever since the Harry Potter series first became a massive hit, author J.K. Rowling has been the subject of intense criticism and controversy. While today's controversies are of a different sort, She was the center of much discussion after she brought the headmaster of Hogwarts out of the closet in 2007. After 10 years and 7 books, Rowling decided to confirm something that a handful of Potterheads had theorized. Professor Dumbledore is gay. Even though this wasn't mentioned in the first batch of novels or films, she was more than happy to reveal that Dumbledore has had relationships with other men completely off-screen. Rowling told her fans, "Recently I was in a script read-through for the 6th film, and they had Dumbledore saying a line to Harry early in the script, saying, 'I knew a girl once.' I had to write a little note at the margin and slide it along to the scriptwriter. Dumbledore's gay." The elderly wizard's sexuality didn't play much of a part in the Harry Potter books, but the Fantastic Beasts movie series has detailed his tragic romance with Gellert Grindelwald.
Oh, to be young and to feel love's keen sting.
One of the strangest theories ever dreamed up is that the 1988 video game Super Mario Bros. 3 was actually a stage play put on by the characters. It's an odd one, to be sure, but when you consider the bolted blocks, the hanging backgrounds, the curtains, and the fact that Mario exits stage right, it all comes together. As outlandish as this might sound, it's actually completely true. In a Q&A on the X platform with Nintendo's UK account, Mario creator Shigeru Miyamoto responded to someone asking if the theory is true with a simple yes. When you consider all the wild and inventive things the Mario games have done over the years, not counting that live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie, it shouldn't come as a complete shock, but it was still an impressive observation by whoever started the theory. With Mario's recent, much more successful return to the big screen, we'll likely be seeing more of our favorite plumber and his scaredy-cat brother. Maybe in the next movie, they'll put on a performance of their own. One crazy fan theory that surfaced after the release of She-Hulk Attorney at Law was that Captain America once got together with Star-Lord's grandmother back in the 1940s. After Bruce Banner revealed to his cousin Jennifer that Cap hooked up with a woman while on tour during the Second World War, fans flocked back to Captain America: The First Avenger for proof. Sure enough, there was a strange connection to another MCU flick that most didn't get the first time around: Laura Haddock. Haddock played an autograph seeker who looked dreamily into Cap's eyes in the hero's origin flick, only to later be cast as Peter Quill's mother, Meredith, in Guardians of the Galaxy and its sequel. Not only do these two women look identical, but director James Gunn took to social media to end the speculation in a pretty casual way. As he wrote in a now-deleted post, "That's Quill's grandma. I just made this up." Later on, Gunn took it back after fans noted that the timeline didn't match up. Upon further consideration, he posted, "Laura's character who met Cap in 1943 would be way too young. Meredith Quill was born in the late 50s, early 60s. One fan then asked if Haddock's character in The First Avenger could be Meredith Quill's great-aunt instead, to which Gunn replied, "Sure, why not?"
Yes, I knew it.
You're not drunk?
Captain America!
Since 2015, a fan theory about the fate of Star Wars: The Clone Wars icon Captain Rex has circulated around the internet. It all started when the character, now sporting a white beard, appeared in Star Wars Rebels, which is set a number of years before Return of the Jedi. From there, fans speculated that Rex was retroactively the rebel soldier Nik Sant, who appeared only in Return of the Jedi during the Battle of Endor. Future projects seem to confirm this, with the epilogue of Rebels mentioning that Rex was present during the pivotal conflict. Elaborating on the theory, a 2019 episode of Star Wars: Galaxy of Adventures shows Rex alongside Han Solo and the rebels on Endor, and it was later expanded on in the 2021 children's book I Am a Clone Trooper. To make matters more confusing, Star Wars guru and George Lucas' Clone Wars partner Dave Filoni has noted that he truly does believe that Nik Sant and Rex are the same guy. As he put it, "I think the one thing I have really thought about is I really do think that Rex is that guy on Endor. I really do." Nevertheless, Filoni is hesitant to change Star Wars canon on a whim. After the end of Star Wars Rebels, he told IGN, "I didn't want to lay it down in stone. I think I left it in a state where you could believe one way or the other." At the end of The Incredibles, it seems like the evil Syndrome is finally going to kill the Incredibles and kidnap little Jack Jack. But the day is saved when the baby's powers finally kick in. He doesn't have a specialized ability like his parents or siblings either. He goes from flaming on to turning metal to hulking out in mere seconds. The youngest member of the Parr family has around 17 known abilities, most of which are explored in The Incredibles 2. But given that the other heroes only have one ability each, it's led fans to wonder exactly how superpowers in the Incredibles universe work. One theory stated that super babies often end up having multiple powers, but they only keep one of them as they grow up. YouTuber Seamus Gorman asked director Brad Bird in 2018 if Dash and Violet also had powers like Jack when they were his age. Bird explained, "I mean, the idea of The Incredibles is that you use powers to comment on roles within the family. Fathers are expected to be strong, so I made him have super strength. Mothers are pulled in 10 different directions at once, so I had her stretch. The idea of babies is that they're unknown potential."
Oh my god.
Even though Bird never explicitly confirmed the theory, his answer implies that Jack isn't the first super baby that the world of The Incredibles has ever seen. Before Iron Man kicked off the MCU, a handful of Marvel heroes had already debuted on the big screen. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Bryan Singer's X-Men, and Tim Story's Fantastic Four all seem to take place in their own universes, considering that Marvel had divided their film rights across multiple studios. Still, fans were eager to find links between the films that could prove the existence of a larger Marvel universe. In one deleted scene from 2005's Fantastic Four, Johan Griffith's Reed Richards briefly extends his features to look like Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. According to Hugh Jackman, Wolverine very nearly cameoed in 2002's Spider-Man as well. 20th Century Fox was behind the X-Men and Fantastic Four films, soon adding Daredevil and its spin-off Elektra to its arsenal. Meanwhile, Sony produced Spider-Man and the Nicolas Cage version of Ghost Rider. It's no wonder fans wanted to see this happen, but after the advent of the MCU, it all seemed for naught. With Spider-Man recast and the X-Men off in their own little corner, the old Marvel died out in favor of the MCU. That is, until the multiverse arrived and we learned that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is part of a greater MCU. So is Patrick Stewart's Professor X, and soon Jackman's Wolverine. With countless universes out there, these stories may not all exist in the same world, but they are part of the same multiverse.